Group since 2019. She now joins us live from Brussels to talk more about the Africa Week. Iratse, many thanks for your time here on News Desk. The Socialist and Democrats group in the European Parliament continues to view Africa as an important priority in terms of strategic partnerships. But how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected plans for the Africa-EU partnership in recent days?
Hello, Ms. Ellen, and thank you for this opportunity. As you know, that is a very important event for my group, the Socialists and Democrats. We dedicate one full week to discuss with our African partners about the relationship between Africa and European Union. We invite politicians, we invite artists, journalists, and people from the civil society, and I think that is a very important moment. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has to do some different our event. It's not possible to do like in the past with the physical presence, but in any case, it's more important than ever to have this discussion about our partnership between Africa and Europe, because we had an economic crisis, we have a health crisis, and we need to exchange a different point of view about how can we improve our cooperation and our work now in these important areas for us as a political group.
Right. The global-19 pandemic, of course, like you say, has magnified the scourge of inequality in Africa, compounded, of course, by challenges of hunger, poverty, unemployment, and etc. The S&D group there talks about a more mature and contemporary EU-Africa partnership. What would this look like?
Yeah, it's so important because, as you say, the economic and social consequences in this COVID crisis is so important, and we as a Europe needs to debate and to work about how can we improve the current situation. But in any case, this social and economic consequences is not only in Europe, it's in Africa and in other parts of the world, and we need to strengthen our cooperation. I'm sure that we can speak and debate about how can we fight against the inequalities, how can we do our priorities in the climate change and natural resources, and some of these issues are very important in our discussions, without forget the issue about the social dimension and the gender equality. The gender equality for us is so important. The women are more affected in this COVID crisis pandemic, and for that it's so important to speak about the empowerment of the women and about how can we, the role of the women, can we improve now this work and these challenges and goals.
All right. I mean, African leaders have now, in the wake of COVID-19, been looking for homegrown solutions to improve their economies, because of the huge deposits of natural resources, like you say. But focus has now moved to exporting finished goods as opposed to raw materials. Many of them have been looking for better trade relations with Europe and the ability to build their own domestic markets. What is the EU's position on this and the S&D's position on the same?
Of course, the trade policy is essential. In the past and in this moment is more necessary than ever. But a trade policy with a social perspective, because for us it's so important to keep this cooperation in order to guarantee that the trade can do it with high level standards in the environmental and social dimension. For us it's so important, and we are working now with our budget in Europe. We want to increase our policy in order to guarantee that the cooperation can we improve now, and we have a lot of issues to do. But in any case, the trade policy is so important, but we have to include the social and climate perspective in this trade policy.
All right. And of course, COVID-19, of course, has come to show us as a world that we need to take care of our environment better to avoid future pandemics. You, as the S&D group, talk about Africa becoming a world leader in the production and use of renewable and efficient energy that respects environmental standards. What should the EU do to facilitate this in Africa?
Yeah, as I told you in the beginning, it's so important to improve our cooperation And in the other hand, we need to see how can we cooperate in these environmental issues, in the issue about the social dimension, and the cooperation policy is essential on that. We have our commissioner very compromised with Africa, and I'm sure that we will improve the current program, Team Europe, in order to guarantee this cooperation and to guarantee that the environmental policy can be one of our priority. We know that the natural resources in Africa are so important, and it's so important to manage these natural resources with a good idea to fight against climate change.
Let's talk about support in terms of democracy and good governance. The S&D group that you lead plays a leading role in the European Parliament in terms of supporting the people of Africa, addressing issues like humanitarian and developmental needs. What plans are there in terms of further enhancing good governance and democracy in Africa?
Yeah, it's so important for us to lead this humanitarian and cooperation policy with very clear priorities and ideas. And I think that we can work together in order to improve the democracies. It's so important. The social model in Europe have a very clear this issue, the respect of the rule of law and the social model. And I think that we can do the same in order to improve this cooperation.
Let's talk about the fact that even with international cooperation, there's been a lot of conflict and fighting for Africa's resources, and African governments feel like the people of Africa get, do not get a fair bargain in these deals. How will African people benefit from many of the international treaties and covenants that are signed between Africa and EU countries?
For us, the trade policy and the cooperation policy has an important role with the civil society, and we think that it's so important to work with the government at this level, but at the same time, we have to work with the civil society, with the NGOs, with the young people who need now to be part of the solution, and we want to include this aspect in our cooperation and in our work during the next time.
All right, so Africa Week, championed by the S&D group, is currently going on. We're also expecting, though, that the EU-African Union Summit would also be happening sometime this month. Talk to us about when that will be happening as we wind up this conversation.
Okay.
Irate, can you hear me?
Yes.
Let's talk about the EU-African Union Summit that was also expected to take place anytime this month. When will that be taking place?
Yeah, when the European Commission presented the new partnership, was postponed for the COVID crisis pandemic now, and now we need to reestablish our ordinary work. In this moment, I'm sure that we will start with this summit, but in any case, now it's not possible because to move people between the different parts of the Europe and Africa, it's so difficult, but I'm sure that when we can have this pandemic under control, it will be possible to do that.
All right, many thanks for speaking to us. That is Irate Garcia Perez, a Spanish politician of the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party, live for us from Brussels, speaking to us about Africa Week, an initiative of the Socialist and Democrats group in the European Parliament. Many thanks for your time. In other news, a 3-week medical workers' strike over delayed payment has halted operations